Vietnam clearly means business. After bringing home Samsung's mobile phone business from China, which translated into an investment of over $18 billion, it is now on the prowl for more major companies. A few days ago, the Southeast Asian country's Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh met Apple Inc. CEO Tim Cook at the latter's headquarters in Cupertino, California. And Pham returned home smiling with a promise. Cook assured Pham that Apple would consider increasing the number of domestic suppliers from the country and involve them in the global giant's supply chain. Vietnam now accounts for over half of Samsung's global smartphone output. It is eyeing Apple now. 95% of Apple's products are still assembled in China, which clocks revenues of $365 billion. But stringent COVID-19 lockdowns in the country are prompting Apple to explore other alternatives. And it sees Vietnam as one such attractive option. Last year, the Vietnamese government granted Foxconn, which is Apple's biggest contract manufacturer, a license to invest $270 million for a plant to make laptops and tablets. According to analysts, Apple produced around $1.67 billion worth of phones in 2021 in India. So, as Apple and other tech companies are looking for options outside China, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, and even Thailand are vying to step into the breach. And then there is Brazil, which is also assembling the latest iPhones and will also look for more volumes from Apple. These countries are set to pose a challenge before India, which has rolled out an ambitious production-linked incentive scheme to woo foreign companies.
The only major nation which can, supplement or replace China as a very large industrial manufacturer and electronic manufacturer is India. You see, these countries you are mentioning, I would like to clarify, I don't see any great future for Brazil because of the restrictive policies they have and the very high level of protection they have. They've made their industry very inefficient. But Vietnam has been a stalwart nation as far as electronic manufacturing is concerned. We lost out to them about 10, 11 years back when the major Samsung investment went to Vietnam. We missed out that, and we surely should not miss out this time around when Vietnam is exerting to build capacity and they are inviting companies with a red carpet. We must ensure that India's great demographic dividend and our strengths are leveraged and we take advantage of them.
Clearly, India will have more competition. The potential of Apple's bigger shift from China, which could lead many other multinationals to follow suit, has already been given as an example by US government officials to highlight the economic benefits of joining the recently formed Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. They say countries that have signed up for the forum will have an advantage in getting business from US companies. India has a good head start. Unlike the other potential competing countries, the factories of the three big Taiwanese vendors of Apple Inc., Foxconn, Wistron, and now Pegatron are up and running. They are targeting over 47,000 crore rupees worth of phones in FY23, a more than threefold increase over the previous year under the PLI scheme. According to Counterpoint Research, India accounted for 3.1% of Apple's global manufacturing base in 2021, up from 1.3% in 2020, while that of other Southeast Asian countries put together is just touching 1%. Counterpoint expects India's share to hit 5 to 7% in 2022. While it is good news, India's plan to match up to China may face a big hurdle. Companies, whether global or Indian, that are eligible for PLI incentives are finding it challenging to build a substantial ecosystem of suppliers within the country. and without it, one cannot build economies of scale and a global hub for exports. Chinese suppliers dominate the mobile device supply chain globally for both mobile devices and laptops and tablets. They do so at the lowest cost and own the technology too. That is the case not only for Apple's contract manufacturers but also for all Indian domestic manufacturers that are trying to leverage their PLIs to become domestic champions with an eye on exports. This means these Chinese suppliers need to set up shop in the country, bringing their technology with them. But after the India-China border clashes in 2020, India tweaked its foreign direct investment policy to effectively exclude Chinese companies from the automatic clearance route. That has made it very difficult for them to set up manufacturing units on their own or in joint ventures in India. This restriction effectively hands the advantage to countries like Vietnam, which has a larger supply chain, a huge cost advantage even factoring in PLI, and no special scrutiny on Chinese investments. The only advantage India enjoys is a well-trained workforce and engineers, an area where a small country like Vietnam is facing challenges. The option of focusing on non-Chinese suppliers or developing domestic alternatives is a suboptimal one given the dominance of Chinese players in all critical supply chains and their ability to produce components at the lowest cost. In Apple's top suppliers list of 2020, 1/3 come from China. And building a domestic supply base is the long-term answer, but that will take time.
It is not possible to build a supply chain effectively, efficiently, and in an optimum manner without the presence of Chinese players. Today, we are importing parts and components from China. Instead of that, if the same companies are producing in India, it will be a value add for the nation and the industry. So we should look at it with an open mind. In fact, I give the example of China, who build their electronic industry on two virtually enemy countries, which is Japan and Taiwan. They got investments from there, they got manpower from there, they got technology from there, and they built this, awesome mean machine, which is their electronic hardware sector. So I think India should take a leaf out of that.
In response to these constraints, the government a few months ago made some Chinese companies eligible for PLI in LED parts subject to FDI approval. Other players in the electronics PLI sectors said one solution is to permit joint ventures that are dependent on what technology and skills the Chinese bring to the table. The ball is clearly in the government's court to balance geopolitical challenges with business realities.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.